I'm Ariel Hyatt, and this is the Cyber PR Music Podcast, Dispatches for the New Music Business. This show is all about helping independent artists stop chasing buzz and start building bonds, real fan relationships that lead to income and long-term, fulfilling careers.
Welcome to I don't even know what season it is of my podcast. It's the winning season. It's the winning season. And it's the winning season because you're here.
Oh,
And because I have a new book.
Yeah.
And because I'm so psyched you're here. It's a great new book.
Thank you.
So what we're doing in this season is we are unpacking From Buzz to Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And we're focusing on the bond marketing funnel, which we have many episodes to get to. But the reason why Miss Julie Flanders is here today, not only is she my mentor and my friend, she is an extraordinary musician in her own right who has had every flavor of musicianship, from being signed to Sony to going on world tours to making the music in her own living room, the full spectrum. And you've shown that longevity is possible,
Mm-hmm.
and having a lifelong career is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it has not been easy. All those years have not been salad days.
Yeah.
But the reason why Julie is here today is she comes into the room before we can begin to unpack marketing and strategy, because she's all about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So, Julie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Can you give us an intro of you a little bit on your musical journey?
I grew up doing music. It was my thing, music and running track, which are both solitary activities. I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I ran. And I went to school thinking I was going to study classical music, and I got there. I found that wasn't what I was going to do. And so I sort of broadened out into other creative areas, theater, acting, and all kinds of transformative art forms, including my primary, which is I'm a writer. And as a result of immersing myself in so many different ways of learning, one of the things I learned with hypnosis and trance states, which are incredibly powerful for creative flow, for connecting with something that broadens and deepens and widens a person's perspective and options. And then when I came out of school, I don't think I had learned that you wouldn't automatically go from being a creative person to knowing what to do with it.
And where in that journey did October Project, the band that you founded and still exists today, where in that did it bubble up and come to light?
It's interesting because what ended up happening was I got a day job, and my day job was as executive recruiter. So I had a little job in PR, working there for about 2-3 years, and then I went into executive recruiting. And as a result, I really learned business. And business for me was the first time I realized that creativity wasn't limited to the art. And I was looking for people to help invent what was called home banking at the time, but turned out to be the content that would animate the internet. So I was looking for people that could think in technology and bring that through their creativity into technological forms that existed but hadn't been used at home. Because why would anybody ever use a computer at home?
Right.
That was helping people understand, why would you use a computer at home?
And how did that get translated into a band?
The economy changed, and my boss said, this economy is going to change. You already care more about the people looking for a job than the people paying you to find somebody. Why don't you start something to help people who are looking for a job? And there was no such thing as career consulting at that time. So I was at an boutique executive firm, and I started a career counseling area. And in order to do that, I had to study a lot of things. I applied them to myself. I realized I was unhappy in business. I started a band, and I started acting school in the same year. And I applied what I had learned. First person I really learned it from was Barbara Sure. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
She started this thing of like, you can't do it the way other people do it. You have to do it your way. And I internalized that. I applied it to myself. I applied it in the world. And then I started teaching it. And by the end of a year, I was in a full-time acting program. I was starting a band and I was counseling people.
And the band took off,
The band took off.
but then you got to deal with Sony.
We did. And it wasn't like day one. It took a really long time to find our voice and to put it in the world the way we intended. We played all over the city, but we became resident at a tiny cafe called Cafe Chenet. I had the idea that the best way to move in the world was to help other people. I used to put together evenings where there would be 3 artists and we would all agree to bring audience for each other's projects. And we made sure that each of the projects was different, but they all would appeal to the people that would come. So we filled the house, we played with each other. And then at Cafe Chenet, we played with an artist, Jeff Buckley, who became super famous and was signed a week or 2 before or after we were at Cafe Chenet.
Yeah. And his famous album, which I did publicity for my first job in the music business.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So you and I have all these
Yeah.
very amazing sliding doors. Yeah.
No, it's so true.
My first job was working for Catherine Schenker and live at Chenet.
Wow.
Jeff Buckley was her developing tiny artist. He
Mhm.
had Sting, Peter Gabriel, or
Mhm.
Tina Turner,
Right.
In Excess, and it was incredible. Anyhow, I digress.
It's that kind of thing where you have the synchronicities of the things that you match and the people that you resonate with follow you across time. And it's important. And I will just tell you that in my executive recruiting job, everybody that I helped came to my gigs. When I started to make the transition, at that point, I didn't have the idea that those 2 worlds had to stay separate. Sony told us you can't bring your real world into your music mythology. And I completely disagree with that now. I don't think that our band would have built if I hadn't taken the idea that every fan mattered, that there was a moment where a fan went from being a fan to being a friend, and you would share yourself with them in a different way. And that built the band. Someone also gave us very wise advice and said, you better know that your record label can amplify what you do, but it will not give you anything you don't give yourself. You must sell your first 10,000 albums yourself. And we did. We were all in. And that's the thing I would tell artists is you have to be all in. If you're even one molecule less than all in, work on that.
So this is the thing that is incredibly alarming about how creation happens now, because it begins to maybe brew and happen, and then it immediately goes on the internet. You have to show behind the scenes. You have to show that you're in the studio. You have to show that something's happening. And I feel like marketing is so confronting and it's so hard. It's hard to get it right. And I keep coming back to this. How do artists get their mindset right?
I think when people put the marketing before their creativity, they fall out of love with their career unless marketing is their creativity. You have to be in love with what you're doing because it's so hard that you need that love. And so for me, the love for an artist comes from the work itself. When you're doing something that really serves your career, you won't get tired from it in the same way as when you're forcing yourself. Burnout is a sign that you're making yourself do something that isn't right for you.
Yeah. When you and I were working together and you were mentoring me, you taught me something that was one of the most valuable lessons that I've ever learned in my own career. And it's a lesson that I love to impart for musicians. And that is, you asked me a really, really simple question, which has grounded me and also helped me in how I love to advise artists. And the question you asked me was, how do you want to feel? Quick thing. If you're trying to figure out how to actually make money from your music, I've got a free training for you. In it, I break down how to move from chasing streams and followers to building real fans who actually support you. You can watch it right now at the link in bio or at cyberprmusic.com. Click on free webinar. Go check it out. It'll connect the dots.
I think that's where the essence of someone is. And then that tells you a lot about who you are. Why do you want that? And if you're wanting that because you think it's going to fill a hole or deficiency in your emotional life, you're not going to be strong enough to get it in the first place. So really what you may want from that is some sort of validation.
So back to that idea of the feeling.
The feeling, when you get it and you know that it's right, you can use the feeling as a sort of a compass. Is this leading me where I feel that way, or is this leading me away? I just had an artist I was working with who was told a whole lot of things that might be true theoretically, but this artist wants to perform live and have people there. And there's a million ways you could do a strategy that doesn't require or involves that. But for a performing artist to not perform because it makes more sense to a digital marketing person is wrong for that person.
Yeah, no question.
And the digital marketing person might be right theoretically based on things that we're being told right now about algorithms. But there were two things that you said in your book, Buzz to Bond, that I think are really valuable. One was the John Doe composite or character of a person that has the resources and can actually buy the ad and can actually force flow, and then nothing comes back.
Right. So how is he feeling? I've named him creatively John Doe. This person is very privileged in that he made a lot of money in his life and he is making music now, and he makes actually really, really good music. He's actually been on the road with many famous people, and he's hired a huge amount of people to do buzz strategy. And he's got 1 million plays on Spotify, and he's got hundreds of thousands of plays on YouTube, and everything looks great from the outside world. And now it's time to go on tour, and no booking agent will touch him. And the reason why is he cannot draw.
Right. He goes into a venue and there's no physical correlation. It doesn't manifest.
Right. You can't pull it out of the air. So that was a huge eye opener for me. When I get to go behind the scenes with an artist client that has seemingly unlimited amounts of money, you go, okay, that should allow me to be able to pay to get to the front of the line. Bond marketing and bond creation is not sexy. It's a long game. It's figuring out how to deeply connect with your audience.
Part of that is knowing who your audience is. And a lot of people want their audience to be different than it is.
Yes.
There is a natural audience for what you do. And if there isn't, then maybe you can do it for yourself and your hobby. But if you're going to do it in the world, there has to be a place where what you offer is met by somebody who wants to receive it. A lot of the people that do marketing or used to do marketing when we started were very anti-female. One of the things I noticed was because our music wasn't appealing to certain boy marketing executives, they couldn't see beyond what they liked. And so if they didn't like it or it wasn't for them, they couldn't imagine how to market it. And I've had to deal with that a lot with different artists. A really good marketer doesn't have to like it to see who might. For example, some artists that have been a lot like October Project, or like Ethel Cain, Azzy Star, or Portishead, if you don't think that kind of music has leg, you wouldn't understand that can be incredibly successful. So John Doe is perhaps not really thinking about, well, who would really come to want to hear this? There's been bands that have never wanted to tour, and then they create an online presence. I think that's legitimate these days.
I think so too. And it's not about like this or that. It's not about like, this is the only way to do it.
No. And you can't get tired from looking for new ways to do it.
The only predictable thing I've noticed now that I'm in year 30 of being in music is the guarantee is that the game is always going to change. And the question that you asked me, it's the right question. How do you want to feel? It could be, I want to feel happiness. I want to feel satisfied. That was my guidepost. I want to feel elated. And we work with a lot of Christian artists. Their vision is they want to feel like they're spreading the message of Jesus. That's how they want to feel. That's their motivation. We have a lot of artists, they've been clean and sober, and they want to show future generations like you can lead a very happy life after you've come through the darkness of an addiction. So everybody has a different sort of vision and flavor for the feeling, but the feeling cannot be 1 million hits. The feeling is not a number on YouTube. The feeling is not and can never be what you think is success. And people must come to you all the time. And it's about a revisioning of the goal,
a replenishing of the supply of energy that motivates it. If you're going to locate how you want to feel, how do you want your audience to feel?
This is not about more followers or more streams. It's about real fans who actually support you. If you want to go deeper, check out the free Buzz to Bond webinar in the show notes, or visit CyberPR Music for over 300 articles and strategies for today's music business. Less buzz, more bond.